Good day everyone, it is Caitlin and today we are making doll outerwear, an apron, a cloak, and a shawl. Alright, let's make some little doll accessories for our little Stump doll. I think we're going to start with a shawl, which I'm going to make 18 by 18 inches, I think is what I said last time. Actually, I think it's more, let's do 17. Or did it end up being 15? I don't even remember. Let's do 16. This just seems like an awfully big shawl. And we're going to fringe it. And I'm going to be a little bit lazy today. I don't think I'm going to do the stitching around. I'm going to try it without the stitching and see if it works. Like, I understand the purpose of the stitching is to keep it from raveling as much and to give you like a guide on how much you need to actually be pulling the threads out. But I want to see, because this isn't really going to get a lot of wears for a doll. So I want to see if it works. But yeah, I'm just pulling out the threads, probably for about ½ an inch on either side. But yeah, shawls are fun. Okay, they're fun when they're like doll size and it doesn't take you forever to get the ½ inch of threads out. When you get to do it in an adult size and it's huge and there's so much fringe to do, then yeah, it gets a little annoying. But let's see, I think it got moved around. I think I was working on this side. Yeah, this should be a super simple project. And it's a super simple, and really this is going to be an experiment on whether I can get away without doing the seam. So for the last doll, when we made her a shawl, we made her a little brown shawl, I did do the stitching on hers. And I do all the stitching when I do, adult size shawls. I just personally, for a doll, I don't think it's necessary, because you're not going to cause any more raveling. Because it's just not going to get a lot of wear. So I think this should be fine. We'll get a nice little fringe shawl out of this. I think after this, we will work on maybe the apron next. I'm going to do the apron next. Is that ½ an inch now? That is ½ an inch, so that's what it looks like fringed. Alright, we're going to make her a little apron next. So, we're going to go ahead and make this straight. And I'm going to need to sharpen these scissors. Let's see, is that going to be enough? I have no idea how wide this is. Let's do about 15 inches, seems good. Actually, for a tiny little waist, we should probably do 12. Let's do 12 inches. It'll be a little bit narrower once we hem it. Okay. Alright. So next step is we're going to go ahead and hem this whole thing. Which I should probably iron it, but I think I can do it without. I'm just going to fold, because these are in little plaids. I'm going to fold it on the plaid, make a very narrow hem. And go all the way down and across and back up. Just not doing the very top. The very top will need to be gathered so that we can put it to a waistband. Yeah, that's pretty good. That'll work really well. And I guess I didn't measure, I was just using my fabric, but it's just about 8 inches. It is 8 inches long, which is a little shorter than I think I wanted because her skirt is so long. So it'll reach around here on her. But it'll work. Alright, so I cut a little waistband. It is roughly 1.5 inches by, I think it's 5 inches. Yes. So I marked the center and I marked 1.25 inches on either side. I'm hoping to get the whole, actually, you know what, remove it over one. I'll do it more like 3 inches. So we're hoping to get all the gathering into those 3 inches. So I'm going to mark the centers here. And this end's going to go here. And this end is going to go here. Somewhere there's a, oh, there it is. Right. And we're just going to pull the gathering threads until they're, you know, right about the right size. There we go. That fits pretty well. I'm happy with that. Now this part's going to need to be back stitched just for security. I'll probably do it on the other side because I can use the plaid to make sure everything's nice and straight. So I'm going to do it just right here. And I did a quick running stitch to the end because we're about to fold this over. Take all of these out. Now this is clearly not enough to tie the apron on, and the reasoning is a lot of these early aprons had like a twill tape with a tape tie for them. So I do have some twill tape. We're going to go ahead and add that on there. But isn't that cute? Look at that. Where I put the twill tape? I got it out very specifically. And I misplaced it already. Found it. It was underneath the doll. I'm thinking about, you need at least 10 inches to tie. So let's do a 12-inch. And I'm going to need 2 of them. One for either side. And I'm going to stuff this in there best I can. So I still have some thread left in there. We're going to continue using that. And that's why I did a running stitch to the edge. I didn't have to tie anything off. So you want to make sure I sew this in very well. You definitely don't want the ties to come out. And I'm just going to whip this closed. And basically just go all the way back down the apron to the other end. At which point we will have a completed apron and we can move on to the shawl. No, we already did the shawl. Moving on to the cloak. The other thing of outerwear that's going to be made out of wool. So at this point I'm just kind of going across. So just making sure the whole thing is very well stitched in. And then we get to move on to the cloak. So that was a super quick, super simple little doll apron. Look at that. That's so cute. Many things are always cute though. Alright, so we're working on the cloak. And okay, so I got a new camera. And so I'm very curious to see whether the picture and the audio quality is any better now that I have a new camera. Anyway, I was cutting out this thing and I had it on the wrong setting. It was on the slow-mo setting, so it didn't catch any audio and everything was in slow motion. So there is no footage of us cutting this out, but essentially, as of right now, I have 2 hood pieces. I just sewed this on the fold, so I sewed up this back, and I'm going to sew up the front. But yeah, so we're going to recap what I talked about while cutting this out while we do this. But yes, please let me know whether the video and the audio is any better with the new camera. I'm curious to see what y'all see. And that way I can decide whether I'm keeping these or trying to find another one. But yeah, for the cloak, I am just using some brown wool that I had. I thought brown would be nice because my cloak is brown wool. This is not the exact wool though. I don't know what this is from. It's much thicker than my wool cloak wool. And so I don't know what this is from, but I didn't have very much of it, so it It wasn't like a whole dress length or anything. I just have no idea what this is from. But I had it, so we're using it. And then for lining, I didn't have any brown cotton or brown linen, so I just picked whatever plaid cotton that I had. It's like brownish plaid, and there's some blue in it, so that's what we're using for lining today. It's doll stuff, so that's often made from scraps, and that's a scrap that I had, so that's what we're going with on as far as our story goes. And all this is going to get turned inside out, so I'm going to just do a running stitch, and this will need to be ironed, but it gets turned inside out like this, and then folded in that, so I have nice good hood this way, and nice no raw edges on the inside either. That'll all need to be ironed. Alright, let's go ahead and work on, I guess, the lining. So there's a back and then two fronts that kind of fit onto the back very nicely. And again, I'm just going to use a running stitch. Then I'm going to put the other front to the other side of this back. Do the same for the main fabric. And then we'll be ready to stitch this thing together. So basically this whole project can almost entirely be done with a running stitch, which is nice and fast. So we know I appreciate that. Yeah, we'll see exactly what this turns out to look like. It should look pretty good. And basically, I'm modeling it almost exactly off of my cloak. That's kind of, I just took the, whatever I did with my other cloak and I scaled it down. Although I didn't really shape mine as much. This one's very much shaped for the shoulders. My own, I ended up just taking a giant rectangle basically. At least I think I did. And then I gathered it to fit the neckline. That way it would fit over my sleeves, because my sleeves in the 30s are pretty big. But this, I think, is still going to fit over her sleeves. And it makes it a little bit less work. Okay, so that side's done. I'm going to take this half of the front, or this front, and I'm going to stitch it down to this side. So I have a nice little opening into my cloak, and then I'll do the same for the front, the actual like fabric. Alright, so I have lining on one side, fabric on the other, it's right sides together, and I'm just stitching up. So I started at one end, went all the way down the bottom. I'm leaving the neckline open so that I have space to actually turn it inside out. I also could have chosen to bind this, or hemmed it. Lots of different ways to finish this off. I'm just doing this type of lining. After I turn it inside out, we're going to have to iron it again. And then we can attach the hood, add ties, and we'll be done. And we'll clip the corners, just so it looks a little better. And now we have to turn it inside out through the neck hole. There we go. Alright. So now I have something that looks a little bit more like a cape. And I do have the finished hood. So it's going to get attached over here. Hopefully this more or less fits. Hey, it is. Okay. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and iron this all down at the seams, and we'll come back and sew this on. Okay, so putting on the hood, And so basically it's in the 2 layers. I took that first layer and I am back stitching it to both layers, the lining and the fashion fabric of the cloak itself. And I'm leaving the top part free, the lining of the hood. The rest of it's getting back stitched. Okay. Right, now I'm going to turn this whole thing over and use the lining of the hood to make that not a raw edge anymore. Do that all the way across. So now I'll have a little hood. So now I get to sew this. Just hem this closed. What we would call a whip stitch. And I think we're going to do a hook and eye closure. I was going to do ties, but I think a hook and eye is going to be easier, and it's going to be a little bit bulky. So that part I'm not a fan of, but so is a tie, I think. And my cloak hooks and eyes shut. So I think that's, since we're copying my cloak, it would make sense to do it that same way. Also, if you hear my phone ding in the background, I don't know how good this audio is, but if you hear the phone ding in the background, it's the group chat. Well, it's actually the girls' group chat. We are discussing 19th century striptease music, which has been a fun topic of conversation. Basically, we're trying to figure out if there is such a thing. And I've been given some possibilities, so I've been looking up some interesting songs. Basically, I'm doing a getting dressed demonstration on Saturday, and that kind of led to, you're doing, I guess it's better than getting undressed. It's like, you're not really doing like a striptease. And it's like, no, it's getting dressed, although I'm doing it multiple sessions, so, there is going to be a portion of getting undressed. But hopefully I can make it, as tasteful as possible. And that led into, were there stripteases in the 1830s? So, yeah, very fun topic of conversation. I have really great friends. We ask the real questions over here. So, those are actually the exact same hooks and eyes I used on my brown wool cloak. Except on my cloak I used 2, and we're only going to use 1 for the doll. Also, we've still been calling her the doll. We've never actually given her a name. I just call her the Stump doll. It's not a very nice name. Okay, so if I want it to meet, I put this right here, just barely poking out. Alrighty, let's go try all the stuff on her. Alright, let's see. So we have our little Stump doll. Still feels kind of bad, she doesn't have a name. But here's our little apron. Let's go ahead and try it on her. Oh, look how perfectly that works. Yeah, that really could not have worked out better. Like just a little bit of space in the background, which is what you want. But oh, look at that. Get her head to stay up. That's adorable. I really, really like that. It's perfect. And let's see if we just drape the shawl over her shoulders. Give her a nice little warmth. We're going to make her a neckerchief next month because she needs to fill in that neckline, I think. If it's going to be cold, she probably doesn't want a low neckline like that because that's a pretty low neckline. Look at that. Oops. Her head does not like to stay up. Alright, and then the last piece. So, let's see. I don't know if I'm going to put it over the shawl or let's go ahead and take it off. Okay. Cloak and oops, that didn't work. Get her head outside the hood first. Oh yeah, that fits. Okay, and it's not too long. It's could be a little bit longer, honestly. Just a little bit. But she has a nice little hood as well. Alright. that works. I'm going to pull her head out a little bit so you can see her a little bit better. But yeah, that is quite adorable. I'm trying to move her without actually moving her, but there's the back of it, or the side profile. Yeah, I think when I make the pattern, I'll probably make it 3 to 4 inches longer, you know, just right above the hem of her skirts. But overall, I think that looks really good. So yeah, some nice little outerwear for her. I think she looks precious. So she's actually coming along to have quite a functional wardrobe. So she has 2 dresses now, and an apron, a cloak, a shawl. I think next month we're going to kind of wrap up the accessories. So things like a neckerchief. She might get some pockets. There were other things that I discussed that I don't remember anymore. But yeah, there's like 3 to 4 little tiny things that are not going to take very long. But yeah, just to round out her wardrobe a little bit. So yeah, she's come along quite well and happy with it. I'm glad I had the videos to kind of make notes of the things I want to change. So yeah, hopefully y'all are enjoying this series as much as I am. And I think after the accessories, we're going to wrap her up and do an 1860s cloth doll for the rest of the year. So like 6 months of this doll and then 6 months of another doll. There may be one other video. I can't remember if there's one more after the accessories, if there's another dress video or not. I don't remember. We'll figure that out later. But yeah, so we're just moving right along with all these little doll videos, and I am very happy about them, and I think they're turning out really cute. So can't wait till we have a little girl around to actually use these little dolls. I think that's going to be so cute. Especially because I have enough fabric of some of these to make a little girl's dress too. So it'd be really cute. She and her doll could like match in some ways. I think that would be absolutely adorable. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe to the channel. Please let me know if you did find that the audio and or video was better or worse or about the same about the time I mentioned that we switched over. That would be super helpful. I appreciate you doing that. And as always, have a fantastic week, and I'll see you back here on Monday.